It started with a massive car bomb placed outside government buildings. The size of the explosion, according to eyewitnesses, rocked the city, spreading glass, masonry and terror around the streets.
We suddenly felt glass come from behind. They asked us to go to the back room. Then we came into the street and we saw everything had exploded. People said it was bombs. This is horrible. I am in shock. I am very shocked, really. You don't expect this to happen in Oslo. The force of the explosion was so strong that I lifted from the chair before I heard the blast. It came so sudden. We realized we had to get out. Then we saw the smoke above the finance department across the street. There was a lot of broken glass in our reception here at the newspaper house at VG. We went out in the street and I think almost all the windows of the main government building was blown out. People came running down the street, covered in blood in their face. I met the guy. It looked like he had got a bucket of red paint over his head, but it was blood. Cars stopped. People were lying on the streets outside the cars. People jumping around in the street on just one foot, clearly injured. It was like being in Beirut. Unreal. Almost surreal.
As the emergency services started to deal with the bomb sites, there were reports of another attack 38 kilometers outside the capital. This time, young people were the targets. They were attending a political summer camp on the holiday island of Utoya. As the gunmen started shooting, they scattered, hiding in buildings or running for the cover of the freezing water.
Very terrifying, actually. A lot of terrorists. And at one point, the shooting was very, very close to the building. I think actually it hit the building one time. I don't know. And the people in the next room screamed very loud. So I laid under the bed for around 2 hours, and then the police smashed the window and came in. A lot of people on a small island, so they're very shaken up right now because we don't know who's fine or not fine. So I'm a bit worried about my friends and the other people on the island.
Armed police eventually arrived at the remote spots, and a man who's described as 6'3", blonde and a native Norwegian speaker was arrested. The attacks appear to be a coordinated Mumbai-style assault, a deadly, attention-grabbing explosion in the capital, and then another horrific attack on the country's youth. It is unclear who's responsible for either attack, but suspicion has already fallen on Al-Qaeda or one of its affiliates. But it is still possible that this was carried out by a homegrown terrorist group with a far-right agenda. The Norwegian Prime Minister, whose office was damaged, was not in the capital at the time, but he was meant to be talking at the summer camp. There were no bomb warnings, but this happened on a public holiday. Had it been a normal workday, the area would have been crowded with people.
I was just walking home and then I heard the explosion and people started screaming and running in panic. And a bit further down the road, you can see people come rushing from the area with the government building obviously cut by glass. And the police and the ambulances arrived about 2-3 minutes after I heard the explosion.
Norway is an enthusiastic member of NATO and is taking part in operations in Afghanistan and Libya. If this is found to be an Al-Qaeda plot, it may be because Norway is viewed as a softer target than the United States or Britain.
I think Norway, in many ways, is a fairly naive country when it comes to security and threats. What I mean about that is that you wouldn't have the same barricades around the government buildings in Oslo as you would here in London, and you wouldn't have the same level of security, and access is quite good. So when you look at this bomb that went off just in the middle of the government square, it couldn't be positioned anywhere to create more harm within the government.
For now, the focus is on the possibility of more explosions. The centre of Oslo has tonight been evacuated as Norway prepares itself for further attacks. Alex Rossi, Sky News.